they were hurting, I reached out to them.
How much clearer do I have to make it? A strong animal does not spend all of their energy and time on earth helping every weak animal. You help those in your own pack, in your own tribe, those who are like you, and those who are not like you and who are not contributing to you, you do not have a responsibility to.
If you want it on
Nickolas,
simpler terms, you can say that we are of different species.
Let's get to an issue that Zena raised a little earlier, and it's one that I know is a very sensitive one to you. And that is the issue of the allegations of human sacrifice. Now,
It's not that sensitive.
I will first of all go on record as being very clear in stating that my understanding the Church of Satan official ideology, the party line, is that we do not condone, we do not permit, we do not practice or encourage human sacrifice.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What of those people who do read the Satanic Bible, who do hear your father's teachings, and then practice animal and or human sacrifice in his name?
Satanists. Just because you read a book doesn't make you that thing.
How many people have read the Holy Bible, misinterpreted it, and acted on it?
Do you know what John Wayne Gacy said to all of his victims
He read the
before they
23rd
died?
Psalm. Should we now say that John Wayne Gacy is a Christian murderer? It's a foolish, sweeping generalization.
Okay.
Anyone can read a book. Mark David Chapman, who killed John Lennon, read Catcher in the Rye. Should we
And
ban
Leopold
Catcher in
and
the
Loeb
Rye? Leopold
read
and Loeb
Nietzsche.
wrote Nietzsche. Let's ban Nietzsche. Where do you
Well,
stop?
I think there is a serious issue in terms of artistic freedom of expression that you've raised. I also think one has to determine whether or not inherent in the language expressed, the deeds that result from it are philosophically consistent with
There
it.
are far more violent things written than the Satanic Bible. So you can't tell me that that was written in such a way to promote violence.
Oh, I'm not saying that it was. I'm just saying that it lends itself by the nature of the language used. Well, let's read it. Let's read it. Okay?
Let me quote something. Jesus said, I come not with peace, but with a sword. Now, if I'm a Christian and I say, well, I have a sword, I'm going to go kill non-Christians. It's a matter of interpretation. I would say...
No, that is absolutely philosophically inconsistent with the larger worldview of the teachings of Christ.
Just as it is with Satanism.
Well, okay.
Why blame the acts of a few nincompoops on a book?
We'll read from this book if you'd like, but let's read this book, all right?
Because this one's more interesting.
Mad dogs are destroyed. Okay? The fact remains, given the opportunity, they would destroy you. Therefore, you have every right to symbolically destroy them. And if your curse provokes their actual annihilation,
rejoice.
Rejoice that you have been instrumental in ridding the world of a pest. He is made to be trampled underfoot.
You love quoting that. I've heard you say that before.
Have you?
Yeah, you really say it with gusto.
You could be a really good Satanist.
You never know who's listening to you when you're on the radio. Well, but Zena...
It was just that little snippet that someone played for me.
Zena, you have every right to symbolically destroy them. I'm a writer.
Now wait,
I'm a writer and a journalist. I know the responsibilities of language. If your curse provokes their actual annihilation, in other words, you're only doing this symbolically, but if in doing this curse, putting the pins in the voodoo doll or whatever, if in fact they actually do die, rejoice.
Of course. Why is that inconsistent with our philosophy? I'm asking
you, Zena, your father wrote this book.
Right. So what you're saying... If the person
actually dies as the result of the curse you put on them, rejoice. Believe
what
me,
do you think would promote a curse like that?
Give you the opportunity. If there's an out here and you don't mean that, fine, say so.
Of course we mean that. What do you want me to say? Oh no, he didn't mean to write that. Of course. What do you think we would use a destruction ritual for?
It's to destroy,
if your wife
obviously.
is raped and murdered, and you don't know who did it, and you want to throw a random curse at whoever it was that did it, and if it works, shouldn't you be happy?
Or should you mourn the rapist, which I guess Christians mourn the people who kill them too? Because
What is it?
Christian,
I don't know. What
response do you want from us?
Don't you
it
think
isn't a
that
question
a
of
destruction
response that I
ritual...
want for you. I'm
See,
just trying to...
I think you seem to have this idea that we toss around these destruction rituals right and left, that we do them every Friday night with
At
no
random,
regard...
we just go through the phone book and
Yeah, we
pick
just
some.
pick people out with no regard for who they are. Don't you think there's a reason why we have that?
Sure, you feel
Okay.
that you've been wronged and have a right to get revenge.
And explain to me why that is wrong. Explain to me if it's
Well,
something that's so blatantly obvious.
The explanation is that when we allow every individual to become the arbiter of his own actions, the rule of thumb of his own conduct, and the determinate factor as to whether or not he is the wronger or the wrongee, then we have millions of individuals running around choosing their own courses of action.
You'll never have that. People are too lazy to
in
decide
a society, we have a lot of very hurt, angry, dysfunctional, psychotic people who then in turn use this as an excuse for reprehensible action.
Granted.
And they use Geraldo Rivera, too, as an excuse to kill their mother, because Geraldo Rivera brought Satanism
A
to them.
psychotic could look at TV Guide and find a motive for murder in it. It's really a moot point. You can read any book in the world and find an interpretation that you feel is valid to it.
Music. This is your album, Nickolas. It's called Radio Werewolf, The Fiery Summons. You're pretty good at marketing yourself.
That's
Well,
the
that's
devil's
our
place.
job.
Illusion and
You
showmanship.
mean the devil is alive and well in Madison Avenue?
Of course, advertising
I
is
think
the
you and I
devil's
agree with
trade.
that. You're a self-described satanic musician. You've heard his music, Zena. What does it sound like? You tell me.
It's more along the lines of classical music. It would be the equivalent to, it is satanic gospel, I guess you could say. It would be the equivalent of what you have.
Except the word gospel means good news. In this case, it's
Good
bad
news
news.
to us.
It's good news.
Bad news for you.
What does the music do to you when you listen to his music? Does it affect you in a certain way? Is there something about the mood, the ambiance of this? What does it do to you?
Well, the music that, and I'm beginning to work with Nickolas on his music, we make music for a purpose. It's not just background music, or it's not just, you know, fluffy, light stuff.
This is not elevator satanic music.
It's
No.
ritualistic music. It is music that
for
by
a purpose.
even the act of listening to it, you are participating in a satanic ritual.
By listening to, so if I put this on and listen to it, I'm participating. But you're a listener. I'm
Because
asking you, how does it make you feel?
It's very stirring. It's very emotionally charged. You can't listen to this music and say you don't feel something, because you do. I'm sure you would probably feel either hate or fear or rage or something.
I
But
don't know, maybe he's a great musician. I
Well,
just
you
say the
don't
guy's
know.
very talented.
Right, but I would say that someone who would listen to it would probably feel very similarly to how one might feel if they're listening to classical music that is
And-
bombastic and
But
emotionally charged.
here's a song called Incubus, which is about sexual cohabitation with demons, a human being cohabiting with a spirit being.
Right. That's what it is. That's correct.
True?
So,
And?
how does that make you feel?
Well, this is another
And this is a
form of
woman
mythology.
cohabiting with a demon.
Right. There are succubuses, too, which
Does that
are the
make you want to
opposite.
do it, or what?
You really bring it down to the
I'm
lowest
asking
level.
you. He says it is ritual music that draws you
Well,
into its
that
intent.
particular
I'm asking
song-
a point-blank question.
that
Don't pass it
particular
on.
song is
Does it
designed-
make you want to do that, or what does it do? He's named it Incubus. What does it do?
It's very stimulating, of course.
It's designed for sexual
It's designed to
arousal,
sexually
of course.
stimulate.
Of course.
Prepare one for a cohabitation with a demon?
Well, I don't believe in demons. I'm using a mythological word, incubus. It's an archetype. It is a real force, but you believe in demons. I don't. You're talking about demons. I'm not.
Is this commercial music? Is it going to sell, or is it just Satanists who listen to this, or who's going to run out the record store and buy
Satanists
it?
listen to it, and people who respond to a satanic philosophy, whether they call themselves Satanists or not, listen to it. But it is not intended for the millions. Certainly not.
You mentioned King Diamond earlier. King Diamond is a member of the Church of Satan, correct? King Diamond is a metal musician, kind of thrash metal, black metal. How do you feel about the Metallicas and Slayers of the world?
Well, musically, I think I hate rock music. I think rock music's one of the most dangerous influences on young people
How so?
in a long time.
Well, why is it dangerous?
It promotes self-destruction, which we're adamantly opposed to.
It promotes the use of drugs. It promotes a very conformist attitude, even though rock musicians and...
Under the guise of nonconformity.
Does it bother you, Zena, that they're kind of using your symbols and your faith and ripping it off to get rich?
No, I wouldn't say it bothers me because they're doing what they have to do.
It's a sign of the times, unfortunately, but it is...
But if it gets a kid into Satanism, hey, isn't that better for you?
It doesn't, though. No, it
No,
really
but it doesn't, because
It
they
doesn't.
don't
All it
have a
does is
clear
give
idea.
them a surface illusion, which really has nothing to do with Satanism. So it is of no value to us that these people utilize satanic imagery. If we had public record
excuse me,
burnings...
I don't understand why. Because it seems to me...
Because that isn't Satanism, what they're encouraging. Drug use, the whole heavy metal aesthetic.
What's getting them away from Christianity? Isn't that...
No, it really isn't. It really isn't, because these
And that
kids...
isn't better either.
No,
I mean,
just getting away
You're
from...
real ideological purists.
Absolutely. We're an elitist organization.
I mean, we feel that if people are happy being Christians, that they should stay that way. I'm not interested in driving people away from Christianity whatsoever.
If you want to be a Christian, you have every right to be a Christian. We don't want you to become a Satanist. We just want people who are already with us. We're not trying to convert or proselytize. And I think that has not been understood until this point.
You don't want to recruit. You don't want to convert.
There's only a limited amount of people in the world who can truly say they respond to the satanic philosophy or understand it. It isn't for the millions. It isn't for the masses. It is for the rulers and leaders of the earth. It's for people who achieve. That's 1% of humanity can achieve. Now, people are going to move away from Christianity in droves, and they are, but that doesn't mean they're all going to become Satanists.
You describe the Bible as an occult book.
Mm-hmm. Because...
You say you're not an occultist. Christians
exactly.
are.
Christians, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, believe in such concepts as birth by a virgin, angels and demons, the existence of eternal life, immortality. At the end of the world, corpses are going to rise out of the grave and become real again, depending on whether you're a tribulationist Christian or whatever denomination you are. The end of the world is a good thing.
As a Satanist, you know the dispensationalists and the pre-tribulationists and all that?
I wish I didn't know anything about them, but I'm forced to deal with them, so I know every kind of idiocy that is called Christianity. Exactly. It's an occult book. It is all about occultism. It's God is a spiritual creator in the sky. Christianity is occultism. Satanism says that these gods and belief systems that humanity needs and should have are archetypes, mythologies that make human beings behave a certain way. Everything is a fairy tale. Christ is a fairy tale as much as Satan. It depends on what archetype you choose.
Zena, if this new satanic century truly does come into being, if your numbers increase in the Church of Satan, and as you would hope the numbers of Christians would decrease, and then suddenly you are the people of the new social order, describe to me what that social order would be like.
Well, I think it would take on its own momentum. We would have, what we would see is nature taking its course, because that's all we stand for, is to let nature dictate what our actions are, whether it's on a moment-to-moment level or a gut instinct level. And
Can
we
you be
would
more
have
specific? I mean, what about some of the laws? Would the laws of the land as they currently are
the
change
laws
any?
would probably become stricter, if anything.
Let's look at capital punishment, for instance. In a satanic society, a murderer wouldn't last a minute, because every individual would have the right to defend themselves then and there. If someone broke into your home...
Vigilantism? Go out and get the guy?
It's worked for thousands of years, and it should work again. If someone steals, cut their hand off, as they do in Saudi Arabia. That is a much more sane way of dealing with crime than the Christian way, which is to say, oh, you came from a bad background, and we really love you, and here, go to jail and be rehabilitated, and then we'll let you out after you've read the Bible enough. I don't have mercy for criminals. I don't have mercy for people who cause